Okay, it's 8:30, so we'll start the meeting on time. Call to order, all members of the Board of Selectmen are present in the room. The second item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. To the republic and its one vision, indivisible, liberty and justice. Thank you. Okay, so kind of a busy agenda today. We have comments from the public right now first. So if you do have comments on any part of the agenda, you can do that now if you'd like. But first, what I'd like to do, since we have folks in the room and we have folks on the phone, I'm going to see if anybody online, so that's Rob Lemare, Richard Karen, Matt Pugliese, Kristen Commander, Janet, and I know Eric is a reporter with the Harbor News. So if any of you would like to speak, there's a raise your hand function. You can raise your hand. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. If you figure out how to raise your hand, you can do that and we'll acknowledge you. Anybody in the room? Ken Navarro.
Should I just go ahead and make some comments, Carl?
Yeah, Kristen, I'll come back to you. Yep, go ahead, Ken.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, Ken Navarro from 46 Cromwell Place in Old Saybrook. I've got a few other neighbors and residents with me here. I'd like to make a few comments on their behalf. Anyone's happy to add to any of that should they want to. Well, first of all, we have assembled a little group, which I'm just calling the Friends of Saybrook Point, who's done some volunteer work over the last year, try to move this along, and I'd just like to thank them and acknowledge them. Ed Casella, who's with me, John Aldy, Ed on the legal side, John on the construction side, Joe Wren on the civil side, and myself. And I wanna be crystal clear. None of us have any business involvement or benefit or connection to the project other than we're just concerned citizens trying to move the ball down the field here. So thanks to everybody for their help. So in terms of my comments, I thought I ought to try to think about this in terms of what's the right criteria for, and I'd like to speak in favor of this project, the idea of a land exchange with John Gautama and opening of a casual food operation, at the point. So first of all, criteria, just quickly here. So first of all, qualifications of the operator. A lot of people know John Gautama's been in the food and beverage business for almost 50 years or maybe even 50 years. Not everyone knows that he for over a decade he's operated a casual food operation in a similar waterfront location, sensitive residential mixed use community that's down in Stonington Borough. For what's the name of that operation? Breakwater. Yeah, Breakwater. And it's right on the waterfront. It's a very similar project to ours. It's very sensitive real estate. It's even a denser neighborhood location. So I just like to, comment that people should know that John's, very experienced in operating in this kind of an environment, and I think should be confident in his ability to operate. The next criteria was sort of an appropriate and compatible use. I've been in town about 20 years, but I only learned through this project that the pavilion was once a casual food operation. So from an appropriate and compatible use, I think we're returning it to its original use. But of course, the more important, bigger part of this for the town and the residents is getting ownership of the previous Dock and Dine property, which combined with the point, the public access around the inn, all the way to the causeway, gives residents a tremendous public access waterfront property that, I think just would be a invaluable, legacy asset for the town to own. And that's why we're talking in favor of it. From a zoning standpoint, I'm pretty sure everything that's being proposed is permitted. I don't think.
There are approvals requirements in the lease, so we don't.
Yes,
Yeah.
but no variance required, so from
Well,
a,
that's to be,
to be
can't speak to
determined.
that, yeah.
Got it. I think lastly, from a compatible use standpoint, I would just say we're the largest landlords in historic Mystic, Connecticut. My family real estate office is, so we've been there for 30 years operating. So a few decades ago, the town acquired a similar sized property on the Stonington side, right on the waterfront. It's just been a, invaluable asset for the public access in the town. And I would sort of point to that as, sort of a model. Like, can anyone imagine historic Mystic without the town park there? No. Couple of other, can anyone imagine Madison, Connecticut without the surf club? Guilford, Connecticut without the town green? These are all town-owned public access invaluable resources which really make the town. And I think Old Saybrook has the opportunity to acquire similar property to that. I do want to stress that that this sort of creates a situation where everything's now open to the public. So even if the pavilion becomes a casual food operation, it'll be fully open to the public. And of course, the park will be fully open to the public. Lastly, I just want to say, seems to me that the most important measuring stick to advocate for this project is public benefit. And, how do we measure that? And so, I would make the case that first of all, I live close to this location. I walk to it. I walk my dog there every day. I have a couple of neighbors who have also homes are contiguous to this property. David Frisbee, Wayne Harms, and John Aldy are also here. All of their homes are contiguous to the town property. They abut it on all sides. So I would say that a measuring stick for this use is how much public benefit, how much public use do we get from this? And while the pavilion is terrific, its major functions are hosting a card club, a bridge club. It has regular yoga classes, and then it also has private events. One of the things that I think we're gonna have to do a better job of communicating to people. I got a chance to visit with Ray at Park and Recs and understand in a little more detail what the actual usage numbers are. There's a lot of misunderstanding about that, but so I'll just pick on one. So there's a weekly card group that meets about 40 people once a week. So call that 40 times 50 weeks a year, that's 2,000 visits. So we're calling that 2,000 visits, but Ray was able to clarify it's the same 40 people coming every week. So from a public benefit standpoint, and for me, that's 40 residents. That's not 2,000 residents, that's 40 residents. And I think that's really important. On the yoga classes, it's almost the same math. We're calling that several thousand visits a year. No, it's the same 10 or 20 people. So those two programs are benefiting, really a handful of residents. We're not really getting a broad public benefit. There is regular private events there. I want to stress, those aren't public events that are held there. Those are all private events held there. Some of them are residents, but a good number of them are not. So when you drill down on the numbers, you know, one of the things I think we have to work a little harder on is try to identify what is the public benefit. And I would just compare that to, you know, the park. I stopped in at 10:15 this past Saturday morning. It was rainy and crummy outside. There was 23 cars using the abandoned parking lot. So we have way more public use and public benefit from today's abandoned parking lot than we have, than we get from the pavilion. Can you imagine if we have the beautiful park that's been envisioned there, how much public benefit and public use we'll get? And I just wanna, as somebody who visits again there every day, you know, the usage, we have 10,000 residents. And if the measuring stick is how many of those 10,000 residents benefit from access, public access to this waterfront park versus what we have today, I don't think it's even close. And I think we have to do a good job of making sure residents realize that that's the case. So just in summary here, while, you know, the usage from an abandoned parking lot, which John's nice enough to let us use, is greater than, you know, the entire use of the pavilion by a multiple. Given that, I think it's hard not to be in favor of moving in this direction. I would say that we should consider hiring a communications firm, which many towns have done, just so the data gets out there, because I went to the previous public hearing and it was a little discouraging only to hear numbers getting batted around, which, you know, are not really accurate. So we may want to think about that. But lastly, I would just encourage everyone to vote in favor of this going to referendum, and I'd love to see it happen.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So I'm gonna turn online, right now. I see Kristen Commander, hold on one second. You have your. All right, Kristen, you should be able to talk.
Click that button.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Can you hear me now?
And
Yes?
yes,
Okay, perfect. So I don't know a lot of the logistics about the entire proposal, but I am in support of it only because I am a lifelong resident of Old Saybrook, Connecticut. I grew up here. My whole family grew up here. My father was an Old Saybrook policeman when I was young. And that area of Old Saybrook was always a pivotal point in our town. We had the sandbar, we had Dock and Dine, we had, you know, it was just a nice place to go. It involved a lot of the kids that I grew up with worked at the sandbar. It was a very big social place. It was nice for a place for the town to go and be together. And then, you know, you always knew everybody in Old Saybrook. If you lived in Old Saybrook, you knew Dock and Dine and you knew the sandbar. So I just think it would be so beneficial to have that open again and have a good use of that land down there.
all right, all right. Thank you, Kristen. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Uh, online, Matt, Mr. Pugliese.
Hey, good morning, guys. Can you hear me?
Good morning. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you for letting me have a moment. You know, as former member of the Board of Selectmen, I've been part of this conversation for the last several years as we've had conversations trying to decide what to do with the point. And I think, you know, to the themes raised by the two previous speakers, I'm in support of seeing this project move forward, seeing the site develop. I'd just like to offer some encouragement to the Board of Selectmen that as you go forward with either the timeline proposed or an adjusted one, that you make sure that you really have a tight presentation put together for the town that really is prepared to answer all of the questions that the town is going to have about this. And I think that we really need to start to think more specifically and clearly about what this park is going to be. I think that the town of Old Saybrook and the state of Connecticut really deserve to have a premier park here at the mouth of the Connecticut River, one of the most beautiful locations in the state, one of the most beautiful locations in our great town. And I want to really make sure that and encourage that the Board of Selectmen goes out to not just, any engineer, but really brings in a consultant design group that it specializes in parks and really looks to make this the best facility that the town of Old Saybrook can have. And that as you think about the timeline here, that you provide enough time to make sure that all of the, points, as Mr. Navarro raised, that we have the ability to get this out to people so that they're making their votes at the end of the day based on the actual facts of the deal and not not miss. Did you guys lose
Yeah,
me?
no, you're good, you're good.
Yeah.
I muted you for like 10 seconds, I'm sorry.
Okay. I see how it is, Carl.
Yeah. Matt, to your point, in terms of the public hearing on February 2nd, all we're going to put forward at that point is a concept. And the idea behind that is we are going to, if this passes at referendum, we would then bring in public input along with a consultant, an engineer consultant. Jennifer Donahue happened to be in was it Provincetown you were in? Jennifer Donahue, our economic development director, is in the room. And she saw a park up in Provincetown that she thought incorporated so many elements of the history of the town, local interests, but it was also just a beautifully laid out park. And we went online the other day and we looked up who designed that park. And we have the names of the folks who did it. So it happens to be kind of one of these national firms that does it. I got a couple other names from people that are local folks who might be able to do that type of work. But I agree with you 100%. This will have to be a park that is designed properly, by the way, with public input. I think that is really part of this. It's not the three of us saying, hey, we're going to put a pavilion here, we're going to put a couple storyboards here, and that's going to be what we're going to do. We're going to come forward with a concept to acquire this property. Maybe we have a pavilion, maybe we have these public art, and the like, but I don't know what we're gonna do until we bring somebody on once we acquire it. I think, like you, that it has the potential to be probably one of the better landing spaces in New England. And I don't think I'm underselling it. That is the plan, Matt. In terms of answering questions, I agree with you. I think we need to be prepared to answer the questions, but we will not have a fully laid out concept for the public to say yay or nay on that until we get through the referendum, because you can spend $10,000 or more, and then if the referendum goes down, you spent that money, and there's not enough time right now to fully design it and publicly engage. And why would you publicly engage on something that isn't even a signed contract yet, to be honest with you? So, but thank you, Matt, for the comments. Anybody else online? Chris Rickson, Janet, Richard, and Rob. All right. Mr. Lemire.
Hey, how is everybody doing?
Hey,
I guess I would like to just
Oh,
echo that, what Matt had said. Just we know a lot of the things we've talked about in executive sessions with Park and Rec, and we know a lot of what the concerns are. And I think if we have a really well laid out plan, we have a lot of answers to those questions that are the most common and probably upsetting to residents that are concerned with losing the use of the Vicky Duffy Pavilion. So hopefully we will have time to address those and come up with a better plan for the public meeting next time.
Okay, thank you, Rob. And I just want to give a shout out to Rob. I go to the town park with my dog. I said this at a Board of Selectmen meeting, but I'm gonna say it in front of a wider audience. Rob designed the disc golf course at Town Park. And I used to be able to walk my dog, you know, in quiet and silence, and now that those woods are used tremendously by so many people playing frisbee golf, disc golf. And it's just obviously incredibly popular and incredibly well done. So Rob, that was, turns out to have been an awesome project. And I think I saw you up there doing some maintenance last weekend or the weekend before, so.
I spent my entire Christmas break building new tee pads. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. All right, anybody else online? I think we might be. Okay, oh, Chris Rickson, you can speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Terrific. I just want to pop in a few thoughts, and you know, I heard some of the things that are near and dear to me. I heard Mystic. I've been to Mystic. Well, I lived in Mystic for 20 years, and one of the things that we found in historic Mystic, going back into the 17th century, was to the extent that you wanted to keep it the same, you had to constantly make changes and update it and bring it. That 17th century downtown, you had to bring in with 21st century amenities to keep it viable and going. That's one thing. Two is the usage and the count for the usage. I couldn't agree with you more. I think the town made a phenomenal investment. They bought 1,000 acres called the Preserve. If we went through and did it, you know, on a cost benefit analysis for those people that use the Preserve, that would be a bad investment from a monetary standpoint. But from a use, it's awesome. And thirdly, I'm working with Mariners Way, and we kind of have a loose concept of really taking the ability to go from this location up through the downtown, out the Mariners Way, and on your way to Essex. And it really would, this would be the starting point. This is where you would leap off, and this would make Old Saybrook from, yes, I agree, Carl, that area is terrific. And that would be the starting point, and you'd end up leaving Old Saybrook on your way to Essex. And again, we'd have this passive recreation. We would open up for all kinds of things and opportunities. So I just wanted to pump in and say, I think you take the timing that you have, which is February 2nd, and you get this thing moving, or it will not move at all. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. And Richard, I want to make sure you, Richard, Mr. Karen, did you want to speak?
No, I'm good. Thanks for acknowledging me, Carl. I just wanted to be
Okay.
in the loop and see what's going on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. So I think we can now move on. Anybody else in the room here to address this? Okay, good. All right. We are going to move on. You know, I didn't prepare comments. We're in budget season, obviously. Thank you both for being attending and being part of those meetings. And I know we have a busy week coming up in a couple weeks. So any comments from either of you right now, Jane?
Just related to the budget, really appreciate being able to see the police budget presented. I learned so much in that from Chief Onofrio. That was really a well done presentation and really laid some great groundwork. So it was very beneficial. Just being in the room that night.
Good.
So I'm I'll comment later on.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Approval of the minutes, special Board of Selectmen meeting, December 23rd, 2025. Make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? I do send those to you. I hope you're reviewing them.
Yep.
If you have any comments, let me know. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Item number 6A is, this is gonna get boring for all of you in the room.
Carl, we're done with it. Anything?
Well, yeah, the action items, we're done with public comment at the moment, yes. So we're just gonna move on to our business. Presentation by Amy Jennings of the revision to the employee handbook. Amy,
Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
yeah.
Excellent. Well, I know this is really thrilling information. So as you know, the current handbook was adopted in 2019. Since then, there have been multiple changes in the Connecticut and federal employment law, particularly around harassment prevention, pregnancy accommodation, workplace safety, and employee rights. The purpose of this update was not to change how the town operates on a day-to-day basis, but to modernize the handbook, reduce legal risk for the town, clarify expectations of both the employees and the town, and to ensure compliance. Once the handbook is adopted, it will supersede the 2019 handbook and all prior versions of that handbook. The most significant updates involve areas where the law has changed or where there's greater clarity required. So first, the handbook now includes a clear management rights section, which formally reserves the town's authority to manage operations, staffing, discipline, and work assignments. An at-will language was also strengthened and clarified, particularly for non-union employees. The sections that were added were the Connecticut Fair Employment Practices Act, the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, and the OSHA reporting requirements, none of which were present in the 2019 handbook, but are now required under state and federal law. The town's harassment prevention policies were also significantly expanded to include mandatory training, clearer reporting procedures, investigation timelines, and explicit anti-retaliation protections. The handbook also includes important updates, such as the employee classifications, which were clarified, expanded to be clearly distinguished between bargaining and non-bargaining employees, as well as full-time, part-time, per diem, seasonal, and temporary roles. There was pay and overtime provisions that were updated to align with the FLSA requirements, including clearer rules for exempt and non-exempt employees. Marijuana was specifically added to state that employers are not allowed to participate in legal recreational drug use before or during work hours. And the handbook now also outlines a defined process for correcting underpayments and overpayments, which helps to ensure transparency and compliance. It's important to note what did not change as part of this update. The handbook does not alter any of the collective bargaining agreements, nor does it override union contracts. The town's core employment philosophy, values, and operational practices remain the same. Many sections were reworded or reorganized purely for clarity, consistency, and readability, such as culture statements, hiring language, attendance procedures, vehicle use, benefits formatting, and the exit processes. These edits include understanding but do not represent policy shift. Does anyone have any questions? I believe everyone has had the opportunity to read and yes.
I just want to acknowledge, I saw Chris come on, Chris McInnes and Amy Jennings from McInnes Inc. I didn't know Chris was on until I saw him pop up on the screen. So I just wanted to acknowledge Chris.
He didn't get a link. His name is not Amy Jennings.
He's under Amy Jennings, but
my link didn't work. I apologize.
yeah. All right, I'll turn it back over to Amy. Hey, Jen?
Yeah, I appreciate everything and, the executive summary. I was a little thrown off with the executive summary, to be honest, because the handbook that I had, the PDF version of the handbook, I think was numbered in a different way. So that made the executive summary a little challenging to get through.
I apologize for that. I did notice that this morning there was a couple of changes that were made post executive summary. So with regards to just the numbering. So I apologize for that.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I really don't have any questions, but I just wanted to point that out. So I did the best I could, but everything was certainly, flowing, and appreciate all the hard work that went into it. And I know it's a lot of changes in the law. So thank you for the summary.
The town's first handbook, I think, was about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 2014.
2014. And then we did a revision in
2019, about every 5 years.
Yeah, and now this again. I think we're in a really good place with this. We will obviously send this off to our employees for acknowledgement. Is that correct, Amy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
And we can talk about process with that, but we can certainly send that out and capture electronic signatures on our end.
So, all right, you know what? This only says presentation. I am gonna add something to adopt
Okay.
the revised handbook. So I'm gonna make a motion to add an item to the agenda. I mean, Amy, are you recommending adoption at this point if we're good with it? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna make a motion to add an item to the agenda to adopt the revised employee handbook. Sir, second.
Second.
All right, any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All right, so it's on the agenda. Let me make a motion, if there's any discussion. Motion to adopt the revised employee handbook. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Any other questions? I know, you haven't. This is your third board of selectmen meeting, but I mean, you've seen handbooks before.
Yeah. Then I went through it. They actually gave me one when I, came on board. So, no,
Oh.
this has come up in a number of different other things that other boards that I work on. So, certainly, don't have any changes and appreciate all the work that went into it.
Scotty, good.
I'm content with it. I appreciate the work and the expertise.
Right.
Work.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thank you, Amy and Chris.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you all.
Next item is Chris Costa. Discussion and possible action on a resolution adopting the Old Saybrook and Fenwick multi-hazard mitigation plan update. Chris, why don't you lay the groundwork for us a little bit and then we'll.
Good morning. The town is legally required every 5 years to update their natural hazard mitigation plan. It's a document that the planning commission prepares. We used our consultant GZA, Geoenvironmental on this. We started it several years ago. Our last plan expired in October of 2024. We had our plan together. We sent it to FEMA prior to that expiration date. FEMA has to bless the document prior to any adoption by the town. The hazard mitigation plan, we've had public meetings, we've had a lot of outreach about over a year ago, and we've been held up waiting for FEMA to kind of give us our preliminary approval so it can be adopted by this board. There are a lot of things in here for a 5-year plan. There's 83 action items, which we probably will never complete within that timeline, but the
Coercion
main,
and stability.
the main, the main goal of this is not just to meet our requirement, but without a hazard mitigation plan in place, we're not eligible for certain grants and discretionary funding. So towns that do not adopt these plans miss out on a lot of grant opportunities. So the plan was approved in December by FEMA and it's ready for adoption.
Well, I'll make a motion to adopt the plans.
I'll second that.
I've been involved in 3 of these now. I think this is the 3rd one. And do you want to highlight some of the action items that might, how do they change 5 years to 5 years?
So what we do is there's sections in here and it deals with everything from flooding, hail, climate, heat, wind, different hazards and potential changes. And then the action items could be anything from get a generator for the library, or, community facilities, firefighting, upgrading, plans and so forth. So we've tended to add more action items, and we go through and talk with the department heads, and staff, just to see what the town needs and try to put as many items in there. So in the event that there's funding available, it's nice to have it very well spelled out in the plan for that specific item. Is that?
Yeah.
And whenever there's grants, get an email from the library or the school saying, do you have this, where is there an action item? What was the most recent date? So it's very important to grant funding.
So, their plans can be expensive. How much was this to, oh, 15?
About 15,
Yeah.
it's been a little over a year, we've been waiting.
And that's 15,000 to every 5 years. I mean, to obviously create a plan is a lot more. I know the region is doing one through the COG. But we were well on our way to our own plan prior to the COG actually kind of coming up with their own regional plan. Because a lot of small towns struggle putting together their own natural hazard mitigation plan. Number one, getting the volunteers. Number two, funding it. So the COG did put something forward about a year ago. We were well underway. I talked to Chris about it. She said, let's adopt our own, let's let the COG adopt their own. Obviously, they talk to each other. So we will have our own. Not to say that 5 years from now, that might look different, when we have to update it again.
Correct. So we've had our own plan for at least 15 years.
Well, most towns have had their own plan, right? I mean,
Not even 15, we did participate with the COG. At the time, I think the thought was it could put more information in here, and we consistently work with GZA, so it's more of an update than a complete
right.
rewrite. And I think it gives the town a little bit more opportunity to dig into the details a little more than with the COG. Not that the product that the COG provides, is a bad product. It's just something we've done for at least 3 revisions.
So this is the town of Old Saybrook and Fenwick.
Yeah,
So that comes-
and Fenwick too. So
Adding those together, and just talked up a little bit about that, because I recall that from the last one. We work collaboratively, but we're all the town.
So Fenwick and the town partner on certain plans, natural hazard mitigation, affordable housing plans and so forth. It doesn't make sense for Fenwick to have their own 5-year plan or something like this, since, we're neighbors, we're partners, and we have a good relationship. So I work with Marilyn Ozels, the staff. She works with the borough. We look, obviously, our facilities, if we're talking about firefighting or police. We're using the same facility, so it doesn't really make sense to do it separately, since we're a team.
Yeah.
Actually, that just brings a quick question. How does FEMA recognize Fenwick versus Old Saybrook? Is that complicated?
Well, it's a little bit, but Fenwick is a borough, so they're kind of their own governing, I'm keeping this very close to this version. And then the town, so they have their own planning and zoning and other entities.
Yep.
They're within our town boundary, and we collect taxes from Fenwick for firefighting, police services to them. They could do our own, but they would just be repeating what we're putting in.
I was just wondering, like, how FEMA looks at Fenwick. Do they even really look at it as a different community? They do. Okay,
So
all right. So
Fenwick
that's
could do their own housing
Okay,
plan,
okay.
their own
Got it.
natural hazard mitigation. It just doesn't make sense.
So it's essentially a little bit of a regional plan.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, all right, great.
We partner with Fenwick on quite a few projects and plans.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, this is all great. The only thing on this little thing that we got here that we need to sign or whatever, it talks about a duly noticed public meeting was held on sometime in 2024 for the public and municipality. Is there a date for that? It's not on here. That's the only reason I'm asked. Did that happen?
Georgiana and I just went through this
Okay.
yesterday.
It's not, I'm not trying to be
So we,
picky on that.
because we're a year later, we
Okay.
had her FEMA, I don't remember the date off the top of my
Okay,
head, but we.
so it,
So when we
somebody
said-
knows, yeah.
We sent the plan in the summer of 2024 to FEMA for review, and then it just got, I guess we had 2 different reviewers, it was delayed, we had a government shutdown, and we finally got the response here. I can pull it up, I have it.
I just wanted to make sure that we have it for this document, that's
I
all.
think, which whereas are you looking at?
Right in the middle, whereas a duly noted public meeting was held by the town of Old Saybrook on.
It says on February 7, mine has.
Oh, yours has it.
February 7, 2024, and May 15, 2024 for the, you know what, after Georgianne must have looked at this and gotten the dates.
Yes, that was great.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as drafted. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Okay.
Sign that, usually it's not bad, I usually forget. They have to be signed, and then I have to chase you guys down. So. Thank you. All right, item number 3, that a public hearing be conducted on February 2nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the Old Saybrook Middle School Auditorium, 60 Sheffield Street, Old Saybrook, regarding the acquisition of 145 College Street and the sale and lease of a portion of 155 College Street. I'm just gonna make the motion for discussion purposes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, okay. So I think, Jennifer Donahue and I, and either of you would like to be part of it, we'll start working on a presentation, for that night, PowerPoint of some sort. I know Ed, you helped last time a little bit with PowerPoint, getting some slides going. And I assume we'll have a good crowd there like we did last time, which is great. There are, not to get into it too much, but there are, and I can get into it in the items D and E also. Some information has changed since the last public hearing. The library has achieved all their funding. So that construction project is going to begin, and there'll be more accessible public space there. The other day I spoke with Stan Minjone at the estuary. And I talked to him about this again in terms of having Old Saybrook residents access their room. And he said to me, we have 2 rooms. They have their former space that they had their thrift shop. He said, that's available for conference space. Not the nice, I'm not saying it overlooks the water. But in a pinch, that space is available. And number 2, their main space, which overlooks the marsh, which the town just paid mostly for the new floor. You were part of that, Scott. And Stan, they charge a little bit more than we do. The Vicky Duffy Pavilion, I want to say, is about $75 an hour. They charge 100, but Stan's like, look, if it's an event during the day, we'll charge a lot less because we're here. We just have to have a staff person on at night. So it may be something that we negotiate for town residents to keep the rate the same. Maybe we subsidize it for a year until other public space comes on. And I think, as you both know, the Kate is very softly discussing some other plans. And if that were to happen, that could lead to additional public space overlooking the town green, which quite frankly would be pretty nice. So I think there are potentially going to be other spaces coming online, which is not something I could have said 8 months ago when we had the public hearing. So I thought, just thinking about it, that was interesting. Then, Jennifer, as I said, did, and she can show you some of the pictures of this park in Provincetown that she saw, which was really, really nicely designed. So,
can that be, excuse me for interrupting, can that be looked at online?
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, but I mean, that's one example, right? That was a unique space. This is a unique space. So getting the proper person to really come in and envision it, 2.23 acres that connects to two other parks that we own. So, and part of the agreement is to really connect and potentially make efforts to expand the parking over at Fort Saybrook Monument, which has been discussed for years. To be honest with Jeff Jacobson and Steve Tagliatella at Saybrook Point Inn. Anyway, those are just some comments. Anyway, any questions with the public hearing?
Well, I think, my concern is, that we have a lot of the questions that were brought up in that meeting. Was that May?
I don't
The previous one,
remember when
it was like April or May, I think. I can find it in my notes. It might have even been March, I don't know. But, I don't want it to, it's literally on Groundhog Day. I don't want it to be a Groundhog Day kind of thing where we're hashing through the same thing. I think since it's been such a long time, the community is gonna wanna know more, make sure that we have more of a plan and have more answers at February 2nd. And kind of like what's gonna happen between February 2nd and March 31st. That's 2 months, basically. Before people have to make up their mind. It's a lot can happen in the social media world. And I think we want to make sure that we've got good information that's out there, accurate information, so that when people are seeing each other at Starbucks, they've got the right information that they can talk about, and because those are the conversations that are gonna happen at Stop and Shop, at the coffee houses and online. And there are some people that are very passionate about the pavilion and for good reason,
No doubt, no doubt.
It's been a wonderful treasure to the community that's weathered a lot of storms, literally. And I think we do have people in town that are really excited about having a restaurant down there, are really excited about having a park. But we've got to make sure that we're going to commit to doing it the right way and to funding it. And that's my concern is we're in budget season. Are we going to put any money away now in preparation for something that we are, we as a group of selectmen are hopeful that this could be a great opportunity for us? And are we ready as a town to fund it properly? Because, we don't want to shortchange ourselves. We don't want money, or I don't want money to be a problem in getting the park that's going to be outlasting all of us in this room.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking for what it's gonna be like for generations down the road, we don't want to nickel and dime ourselves out of a really fantastic opportunity. So, I don't know what you're thinking in terms of putting anything in the budget, the upcoming budget.
Yeah, we have $2 million in our capital non-recurring fund. That's what it's there for. I don't mean that's what it's there for this park. But I mean, it's something that we've used for projects. So if this is a $750,000 project to get us most of the way there, that I would turn to that fund. In addition to that, over the years, we've been very fortunate to have surpluses. Very fortunate, and I'm not saying you can't bank on that. We haven't done any projections for the end of June. Last year, we used $1.5 million of surplus towards the DPW garage. So if the town were to have surplus, that would be August, that we would make those calculations. We would be in design at that point. Maybe we'd have some numbers. So I can answer your question by saying there is funding available right now. There is. If we had to do it today, if we had to spend $1 million, we could do it today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. $2 million, that's great, but I don't think that's enough. I mean,
I would hope it is.
Well, I think that's
So
where we're
I
gonna have a
have,
problem.
So I did
Yeah.
get preliminary estimates. I mean, it depends what we're doing, of course. Just because people asked last time, I did get some estimates on paving, parking lot
Sure.
and the road.
Yeah.
Seeding the grassy area as it is laid out there. Price on a pavilion. From Atlas Fence, they do pavilions, that's a, I think 30 by 80 pavilion. And also a price on curtains for that pavilion, so that it would be a 9-month, you'd be able to use it for 9 months. Now, I got those numbers because that was requested. And I think it gives folks a ballpark of what some of this might cost. The paving, what's that gonna cost? It was 180,000 to actually do all that paving. It was 50,000 to do the lawn. It was 166,000.
50,000?
What?
50,000 to do the lawn?
To dig it up, bring in dirt and do a lawn. Do you think that's a lot or a little?
That is not much at all.
Yeah,
I
well-
mean, compared to what folks are telling me about my tiny little yard.
But we're not, like I said, the guy looked at it, it's a round number, I don't know, okay, it would have to be put out to bid, maybe the
Okay,
bids.
but still, okay, even if it was triple that.
The pavilion was 166,000 and the awnings on the pavilion were about 60 grand. So, but. And that's great that we have those numbers, but. Who knows? I mean, first of all, those numbers are going to be a little bit more inflated. Those numbers are 3-4 months old. We may not get, this park isn't being built until 2027. Obviously there'd be, the other, and we can get to that in the I don't want to get too, well, I mean, there's a 120-day due diligence period subsequent to the signing of the contract, which would be post-referendum.
Which would start April 1st.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So, and as we know, the Duffy Pavilion books out many months, so that actually works out pretty well in terms of fulfilling the Duffy Pavilion obligations. There's a whole contingency on getting approvals through zoning and whatever else needs to be done, getting liquor permits and getting, so there's a lot that would have to be done before, but in the meantime, we can do some planning during that period of time so that we're ready to go in the winter, if need be, or early in the spring of 27. In addition to that, and I don't necessarily plan on this, but it's up for discussion at Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen. We are going to have a bond issue this year, all right? For the Public Works Garage and maybe for something else. If there was another 500,000, or if we decided a park is not a 20-year asset, it's a 50-year asset. It's a perfect bonding opportunity. That's why you bond these long-term projects, so that's an opportunity also possibly.
Right.
In addition to that, I think the state would be very interested in participating here grant-wise. Steep grants are now up to $1 million. They used to be $500,000. They're $1 million. So maybe that's the first thing we apply for is a steep grant for $1 million. If we get $1 million, that's gonna go a long way. I'm not saying we would. We've been very successful with steep grants. This is public access. The state loves this, and I know Matt is still on, and Matt can speak to that. So I don't think it's just steep grants. I think there'd be other opportunities for grants. So I'm not saying I'm not worried about the money. I'm just saying we will do what it takes to fund this.
As a premier. Steep grants, steep grant got us the bocce court, I don't want this to be a bocce court situation, this is gonna be like the Cape, that's what I wanna think about it is something that's, there's a lot of debate about whether we should do the Cape, and then now look what we have here. It's tremendous,
Oh, yeah.
that's what we want, that's what we want. We want to think, but if we get this, let's think big.
Yeah.
this thing beautiful.
It's a legacy.
So it's a legacy and.
That word was already used.
Yeah, so, when you're, landscaping I mean, to me, if this, okay. Yeah,
I don't wanna get hung up on.
yeah, I know. I just wanna make sure that the vision is grand enough to be able, for people to feel good about losing something like the pavilion. That we're really gonna gain something that is going to be a source of tremendous pride for generations.
So we're gaining something that not only will be that, but is also another piece in the puzzle, putting together Saybrook Point
Mm-hmm.
as we want it, which is 3 contiguous properties. To have that, I think, is unlike anything else anywhere else. I just think that is such an opportunity to get these 3, Gardner's Landing, this, and Monument Park together. It makes me, as, whether, however long we are all here elected, it would really be a proud moment, I think, for anybody who's on the board of selectmen at that point.
Absolutely. Other detailed
Yeah.
question that I think might come up,
Yeah,
when I was reading the agreement,
Yeah.
In terms of the restaurant, is that gonna be something that's gonna be a seasonal thing and shut, or will it be open 365, not 365, but 12 months out of the year?
I think we get into that a little bit, but the idea is for a year-round restaurant.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, when it was
Yeah.
talking about that, I was not sure
Yeah.
how that was written.
It's not intended to be a seasonal restaurant, but we can talk about that
Okay,
in a second.
Okay.
So, and it's not intended to be a takeout only restaurant either.
no, I did get that.
So, all right. The public hearing has been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Just so. Jim can get this in the paper. Hey, do you wanna come up? Do you wanna come up? Sure. I mean, have a seat. Okay. Take our pictures and say, "Oh, great, we'll do that." Like that. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
So, thanks. Item D, that a special town meeting be called and held at the Old Saybrook Middle School Auditorium, 60 Sheffield Street, Old Saybrook, Connecticut, on February 2, 2026, immediately following the 6 p.m. public hearing for the following purpose: to adopt the recommendation of the Board of Selectmen to acquire title to the former Dock and Dine property, 2.23 acres, 145 College Street, in exchange for the conveyance of title to the Duffy Pavilion structure and the leasing of land under and around the Duffy Pavilion structure, totaling approximately, we don't have the exact square footage, motion requested. So I'm gonna make that motion for the town meeting,
Second.
seconded by Jane. Okay. You know what, okay, let's, this is probably the best time to discuss the documents. Why don't we do that?
Okay.
Because the next one is to adjourn the town meeting to referendum, and that's just, so, the purchase and sale agreement, we have the whereas clauses, I think, look. I've described, I'm on now the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th whereas. Yeah, basically the structure is being sold or, to Mr. Kadama at no cost. One could argue that the land we are acquiring has both 0 value and is invaluable. I think almost impossible to build on, therefore not of much value, but I think to the town as open space, invaluable. And so it's not like this is not a, I think, a reasonable exchange. I just went to item number 5. I mean, obviously, we're conveying for $1. We estimate at 12,700 square feet, which would be the lease area. It's a land lease, but this is just the purchase and sale of the building on this document. So Ed, is it your understanding that as after the referendum, assuming it is successful and, you know, we make no assumptions on that, the due diligence period would begin?
Yes, correct.
Which is 120 days, and that's on both sides where we might do environmentals even. We've asked if there are any environmentals that Mr. Kadama is in possession of, and we don't have any that we know of. Is that correct? That's correct. And we'll execute a proposed ground lease shortly thereafter. So further on in item number 5, the town is still gonna own this land, and as a result, there may be alcohol sold on the land, and I've tried to address that with the insurance provisions. But if there's anything in the town ordinance that prohibits that, that will have to be addressed. So we would receive a warranty deed. This is number 8 in your new document that I gave you today that properly numbers. Okay,
Yeah, so is this on the back of the front page? Because I feel like I'm not.
I'm on paragraph number 8. The LLC, I'm receiving the total purchase
Yes,
price.
yes, okay, right, I'm gonna go back to the old
I'm
one.
sorry. Yeah.
That's okay.
We'll receive a warranty deed, and we would do a title search to make sure that we're receiving it. He owns it in fee, like we're receiving a warranty deed, is that
That's
correct? Not a quick claim. And then the land lease, and jump in anytime you want to.
Sure.
Number 9, this is a question I see here and there, prior to the delivery of the deeds. The LLC shall be current with respect to real property taxes, including accrued interest attributable to 145 Common Street. Yep. This is a little funky, margins here on number 10. The obligations of the party are expressly contingent, subject to the terms of any municipal agencies, legislative bodies, boards and commissions. So that would be approvals. I don't know.
Zoning, health department.
Yeah.
There's going to be FEMA involvement in this, through zoning. Gateway Commission, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, the plan is not to change, too much. So we're trying to minimize the amount of permitting that's necessary, but there will be multiple parties involved.
Either party can exit the agreement, and the deed is not able to be delivered by either party. That's 11. Number 12. We don't have a contract yet, until it's signed.
Which can't happen until after the referendum.
Right. Ed, do you want to explain number 13? Oh,
Yeah, the Point LLC can't assign, neither can the town, to a third party, so John couldn't say at this point, well, I'm not gonna run the restaurant, like, the agreement at this point in time is basically between him and the town, and it can't bring in a third party at this point in time.
Jane, number 14.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah, this is where I was confused about whether or not it was seasonal or not.
Open all year, it says.
Yeah,
Okay,
operate a casual dining restaurant to be open all year. The restaurant shall include eat in, sit down dining areas and shall not be limited to takeout.
but the restaurant shall be open for business within 6 months of the date obtaining all approvals. If the date falls between Labor Day and April 30th, then the restaurant shall open on
So
May
instead of waiting
1st.
6
So
months.
it's when it's gonna open.
Right.
Correct,
Okay.
that's when it's gonna open.
Okay, so it's not, it wouldn't open in the middle of March because Okay.
Or, yeah, the February 1st.
Yeah, okay, right.
So further on in that paragraph, we get into dealing with if the restaurant, if God forbid, what is now the Duffy Pavilion is destroyed by a natural disaster or other destruction, the restaurant shall be reopened within 2 years of the natural disaster or destruction, provided that the town may, at its reasonably exercised discretion, extend that period for an additional period of 1 year. Look, the purpose of this is to not have another 12 years or 13 years.
Yeah.
And I think making a tighter time frame post disaster, I think is, this was negotiated. I think it's a fair period of time.
Yeah. It seemed a little concerning to me that
Okay.
it's 2 years, but for such a tiny little building, how long would it take to get, I mean,
Yeah.
I-
So the question is if there's a full loss. Yeah. If
well,
it's
if there's a
more,
full loss, then it's,
He would have to come in and make proposals, and that would have to
exactly,
be
you'd have to elevate,
FEMA, gateway, funding,
and that's gonna take time.
that would take a long time.
That's,
I didn't think that was even on the table.
Oh, sure, I mean,
Okay, that it could be rebuilt to meet all the FEMA regulations.
it could be.
Okay, all right.
What, it's from a zoning and practical perspective, from a financial perspective, that's another question. But
Okay. Interesting, okay.
and then you see later on, if those timeframes are not met, then title reverts back to the town and the land lease is immediately terminated. Ed, I'm gonna leave 15 to you, because that was the one I had a question about.
yeah, this is a fairly standard provision where if parties are making representations during the contract for things that happen during the contract period, those don't survive the closing. The closing is the closing. That's where the term comes from. It's meant to close out any and all, anything that happened before, and then parties start fresh. And then everybody is, John and the town are both stating that any representations they've made are based upon their own knowledge and belief.
So, I mean, my only question is number 18 seems to say something similar.
Well, 18 is is the provision that no oral understandings.
Yeah.
The four corners of the contract
Yeah.
control.
No,
That's,
that to me, I understand.
yeah.
All right, so the rest of this is, like I said, it's basically boilerplate, except for item number 20. Do you wanna, address the 1031 exchange?
Looked it up yesterday. My tax office, I got
Thanks,
it.
Scott.
I mean, is there an intention to do a 1031 exchange in this?
I don't know. I didn't add this in. 1031 exchange is a tax-free, yeah, it's a tax-free swap where, if John, for example, sells another, commercial entity and is about to realize a gain, he can use those funds for the development of this, building and achieve tax savings. So that wouldn't impact the town
It
at all.
does not impact the town, so that's
It's a
why.
strategy for him.
Just simply qualifies.
Exactly.
Before we get into the ground lease, I'm happy to share these with you, Scott and Jane. Paving, JJ Dibble, 187.5. Atlas Outdoor for the pavilion, which is a 32 by 86. Palatian Pine Pavilion, with architectural shingles, 166,000. And then, as I said, 55K for sod and soil, 63,000 or 64,000 for curtains on the building. So just because people were asking, I got some raw numbers, and those are, I would say, raw. Because we don't know what we're gonna do, and we don't know what the layout of this would be potentially. So.
Yeah, I mean, we may want the architecturally designed pavilion that looks like sailboats going down the river. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not gonna be 180 or whatever, but we'll see.
purchase and sale, and then we have the ground lease. So the purchase and sale is to the Point LLC, the ground lease is to Dock 6, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Let's just stay, we're on page 1 of the ground lease. So, recitals, item C. Tenant desires to lease a portion of College Street for the use of a building, canopy, porch, and surrounding areas. That includes, obviously, that canopied area. It includes some of the parking spaces, but not all of them. I think there was an agreement that at least one of those parking spaces that goes towards the mini golf would be left to the town in case there needed to be access there. Item number 1, approximately 12,000 square feet. You have your exhibit. Use of parking. Non-exclusive right to use the parking. In other words, parking is going to be for the park, for the restaurant. What?
Mini golf?
Mini golf. I mean, but we are going to be having other parking on what is now the Dock and Dine property. And you see where the tenant shall have the right at its cost to remove parking spaces. It says 8. I bet that's all of them. And approximately, it says approximately.
Yeah, within the lease.
When we put something, before we sign this, we're gonna have to have more of an exact layout of which parking spaces are going to become outdoor seating.
I mean, the struggle we have down there right now is so much in employee parking from,
I know.
so.
That is, honestly, probably going to become more of an issue for the lessee in this case.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But to your point, the last paragraph in this is something that that not only, the Point LLC through Ed, but also Steve Tagliatella has talked to me about is possibly, expanding the monument, parking, and maybe even extending the road to connect to the access road. So in other words, yeah, is it on that?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay, there you go.
It's hard to see them.
And that would, if we do a layout, and I've had Jeff Jacobson look at this, it may allow for more parking. There's one issue, is we did build a septic system over there for the toilet. So
Where was that built?
well.
Right
yeah,
here,
it's got-
or right here,
Right
this one?
here.
Yeah.
But I think that is
We're on the
something,
same page.
that is something we are interested in looking at. I think it would be good. And there's already asphalt parking there, so I don't know that, but that's something we'll look at for sure.
Yeah, it's another 60, 65 spaces.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's big.
what was shown here.
Okay. There's a septic system currently on the Dock and Dine property. This would allow the lessee of the Duffy, of the land under the Duffy Pavilion and the owner of the Duffy Pavilion in the future to use that septic as well as the septic that is currently for the Duffy Pavilion. If there ever needs to be a repair, that repair would be made at the lessee's expense. And any renovations would have to be restored to the prior condition. The dumpster, now there are currently some dumpsters over by the mini golf on the, I think, west side.
Yeah.
You're talking about a dumpster there, correct?
Yeah, we would put our dumpsters with the town.
Now, that is a site plan that needs to be approved by zoning.
Right.
So,
They're probably gonna require us to fence it.
yeah,
They've never required the town to do that, but I'm sure they'll require us to do it.
so
So we can come up with a joint effort.
it's already there.
Yeah.
So, it'll remain there. And if the town ends up having a park, maybe we have some, if we're gonna have our own trash, like big, whether they're big belly trash cans or decorative trash cans, we'll have our own trash cans. So we'll have less of a need for this dumpster pad at that point.
Well, I mean, a restaurant.
selling clam strips or whatever.
Yeah, the frequency of the removal of the
Yeah,
dumpster is
I mean,
going to increase
And
substantially.
that is gonna be a zone, that's gonna get approved in zoning, that's gonna have to be part of that. So we have the terms, 25 years that can be extended, by the tenant. As long as he provides written notice to the town at least 6 months in advance. There is essentially no rent, it's $1. In addition, the tenant shall pay any real estate taxes that are owed on the structure. Insurance premiums as set forth in the exhibits, utility charges, and any other costs associated with the use and occupancy of the leased premises. Landlord, we still own everything else, so that's gonna be our obligation. And the tenant at his own sole cost shall be responsible for maintenance, repair, and replacement of the leased premises, including mechanicals, landscaping, anything that he owns or leases. Is that your understanding, Ed?
Yes,
Um,
including the septic.
yeah. The next repair and maintenance is basically during the build out of, what is now the Duffy Pavilion to a restaurant. We will allow access so that that can be done. Is that right? Yes, that's what we're planning on there.
Yeah, he's gonna need more than just the leased space to be able to complete the improvements. So during that temporary period of time, that would be allowed.
We've already basically, talked about natural disaster and other destruction, 4.4. It's a similarly worded paragraph, 2 years with a 1-year extension. And then if the landlord does not agree after that point, which is the town, we can issue a 6-month requirement and then it reverts back. Then we go into the sit down service, counter service, sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages. Tenant will not serve alcoholic beverages beyond the area of the leased premises. This is 5.1, obviously. And we're not permitting anyone other than the tenant to sell alcohol so long as the lease is in effect. The tenant will make best efforts to prevent folks from going beyond the leased premises with alcohol and will not sell alcohol beyond the leased premises without express permission. So in that case, I suppose if there was an event and Mr. Kadama or who's ever operating the restaurant said, hey, you guys are having an event, can I cater the event? And he wanted to come on to the park property to cater the event, he could serve alcohol there.
Just like at the June party where you have the beer truck show up and serve alcohol, be the same kind of concept.
Next item was a bit of a sticking point with regard to a right of first refusal. And I'll turn it over to you.
So the question here is, this is a potential up to 100-year lease with the 4, there's an initial 25-year term and then 3 25-year term options to renew. So if Mr. Ganama, whose family is in the same business as him as well, there's two concepts, whether they want to retain it and can do that under the same LLC or assign it to a third party. And if they're assigning it to an outside party, then the town wants the ability to review what's happening at that point in time and take over the lease if possible. So that's kind of what the general concept is. So that's what the town wanted. They wanted the ability, if John was going to be transferring the restaurant to another entity.
That is more than 50% owner.
Correct.
Of that.
Then the town has the ability to come in and say, no, we're just going to take this over. And that's obviously, this is a huge sticking point because he's giving up a very valuable piece of property in exchange for this lease. And so that's why, as Carl said, this was kind of one of the last things that was resolved during the process.
And then, if we choose to exercise that right, previously there was a little bit of a, timeframe. And the fact of the matter is, we all know that government works not maybe as quickly. So, we definitely needed a little bit more time. Not that we couldn't do something within 3 to 6 months, but, you know, there was definitely a time issue on this, not 30 days. And I think that was language that was originally proposed. So the tenant can encumber, the property, the tenant is the owner of the property and the fixtures in the property, so those can be encumbered, and that's really what the next paragraph is saying.
Just the building and the rights to a lease can actually be security in a financing deal. They would never have the ownership of the ground because the town continues to own that. But a lender could give a loan and take back collateral on the building and the rights to be there under the terms of the lease.
But so going back to the previous paragraph, if the mortgagee ended up taking over the property and was not and was more than a 50% owner, the town would have a right to come in and take it back.
So that's a very good safeguard for the town.
Take it back, not buy it back.
Take it back.
It reverts back.
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand what kind of a situation where the building could be mortgaged. Is that what it's saying?
Yeah, I mean, if he wanted to take out a loan to complete the improvements
Okay,
on the property. This is a situation where like,
so there's a deed for the building
yeah,
and it will belong to this LLC.
Yeah,
correct.
so you can mortgage it.
This is what happens in like regular commercial development where there's like a Walgreens. Walgreens leases a pad
Mhm.
and then they construct the building at their own expense.
Mhm.
And you're able to do that with the financing.
Mhm.
The landlord still owns the whole strip mall, but Walgreens has this lot as an example. It's
Yeah.
the same, this is the same concept that we used
Yeah,
when we did this.
okay.
So that includes the right to get financing. No lender is going to do financing for a term longer than the term of the loan or the lease,
Lease,
excuse me.
yeah.
Yeah. So you're gonna be limited,
And
but
probably shorter.
yeah, probably shorter.
And yeah,
It's an option.
I'm not even sure what the total value of this is, to be honest.
Yeah, what a bank would actually
Yeah.
look at it.
Yes. So, we also, insurance and indemnification, you see the agreements, you see the insurance requirements, and then the indemnification, that came straight from Kerma.
Mhm.
Kerma is our LAP insurer, I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Required language for me to be able to lease town land, that was my biggest concern, this is town land that this sits on, so. We need some. If there were ever a claim and the town is sued, I need to make sure Kerma is gonna back the town. So I had Kerma review all this and give me language. So that puts me, or puts the town in a better situation. So, so general liability insurance, 1 million, 2 million, Kerma was good with that, 2 million in the aggregate, and then there's gonna be a $5 million umbrella excess insurance. Obviously, those are requirements of the lease. We are named as additional insured on the policy, not just on a certificate of insurance. And then the next paragraph is an indemnification. And obviously, if the town is negligent and there's an obligation, the town will indemnify the landlord or the tenant rather.
Yeah.
And then we get into, I think, some more boilerplate language, as you're gonna see in many contracts. If there's a failure to pay rent, that's not gonna happen. If there's a default by the landlord. It's obviously, the lease is contingent upon conveyance of the adjacent property. There'll be no mechanics liens on the lease premises. as a result of work done on the property. Attorney's fees if an action, and then this is the entire agreement. And obviously, if neither party can perform certain obligations as a result of force majeure, acts of God, war, anything, any unusual types of events, that's what you see in paragraph 12.5. The notice of the lease, going back to 12.4, will be recorded on the land records. And I don't know if these notices and to whom notice is gonna be, it's gonna change. We might change those a little bit. I don't know. And then,
Yeah, John was working with Peter Burdon, so he,
yeah, whatever you wanna do, however you wanna do.
we'll figure that out.
So, that is item D that we just went over. That was the best time to go over that. Any questions on either of those documents?
So, you know, so,
Yeah.
an issue whatsoever, but I'm looking on, page 4 of the first one, which was the purchase, and then page 6 of the land lease. And they have the Point LLC on this one and Dock 6 LLC on the other one.
That's, apparently he wants to own it as,
Or operate the business as Doc 6 LLC.
That's the operating entity.
yeah. So there are two entities.
Okay.
So here's the plan. I plan on uploading these documents, if assuming this vote goes today. But people are gonna have the option, you know, people were asking for we didn't have documents. So now we do. They're unsigned, they're gonna go up. And we will, obviously they'll be a subject of discussion at the public hearing, so. I don't know if we already moved item number D.
I knew we moved it seconded, now we're
Yeah.
in the discussion, you let Ed.
We didn't vote on it.
Okay, all those in favor, any further discussion?
Well, I think I'd like to say something, I appreciate, I think it's a great opportunity for the town, I think I use the term no-brainer. We have 3 other things we've done in the recent past, when I say recent, the Cape, the police station, and the preserve. And they were things that the town had questions about going into it. But that no-brainer part comes back into it, where when we finally brought it to the vote, it was overwhelmingly accepted. And so I do know that we have opposition on some areas of concern. But I think they've all been addressed, and then you look at the cost benefit analysis, what we're getting, what we are losing. I think that it's a simple call for most people. And I do think that, you know, we were, by putting this information out forward to everybody, you're giving the concept, you're letting them know that this is an opportunity that is one that we must take advantage of, and when and if we do it, we do have an idea of what we may do, and the idea is more formulated than just an idea, but it's a good idea. And the expectation is it will be one of the nicest places in New England at the mouth of the river.
I think the opportunity is amazing, to be honest with you. Any further comments on D?
Can I ask, would we be able to record this meeting? No, I know it's not gonna be a Zoom,
Oh,
but could we record it and then have it available? Cause I
Absolutely.
know that there are people who are not gonna be able to be there that would really want.
we can record it.
Okay,
Could you remind me of that after?
I'm sure I will, yeah.
Because I'll have Larry set that up.
Is that at the middle school? Is that
Yeah.
it?
All right, so moved and seconded, all those in favor of the special town meeting, signify by saying aye. Aye, all right.
Thank you.
Just so the board is aware. There'll be 2 publications, we have to notice the public hearing twice between now and February 2nd. There will also be a sign posted down at the Duffy Pavilion. Telling people that it's the subject of a public hearing on February 2nd. That is a requirement in the statute.
Okay.
So I have the sign.
The big, the white, black kind of.
Yeah, it's not ginormous, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's a sign that those are two requirements, from speaking with our attorneys. I really wanted to make sure that there were no technical defects. All right, so item number E is simply that the town meeting be adjourned. So, subsequent to the public hearing, we will call a town meeting. The first item, we'll read the item, then we'll move adjournment to referendum. So the discussion is in the public hearing. There is no item on the town meeting there'll be no business discussed at the town meeting. It's the same night, it's the same issue.
Right, no,
Yeah, okay, you're looking at.
I mean, it's different. I don't think I've ever seen, it's different than what we did last time, which obviously we have much more information now than we did then.
It's very similar to what we do with the budget.
Okay, yeah.
It's almost exactly
Yeah.
what we do with the budget, and I ran these again by council.
Okay, great.
So these are worded by council, and the referendum will be 12 noon, March 31. I wanted to give plenty of time, it's not a tight time frame. The question is there, and I'll give it to the registrars and the town clerk. They'll order absentees and we'll be off and running. So I'll move item number E. Is there a second? Second. All right, any questions on that? I mean, it's more of a formality. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. So we're off and running, right, on this? You can, thank you. And I'll be in touch with you, all right? We'll go from there. Good to see you. See you too.
I have one question.
Yes.
Should I?
Yeah, go ahead, it's fine.
See you, all right. Are there any entities, companies that operate within the pavilion? In other words, the people that run, like the yoga, or the people that run anything else, are there?
Those are park and rec programs.
Oh, okay, all right, so
So there are no
no
private,
chance or private, of getting an attorney and saying, I don't want this to happen, and here's why, or.
well, I mean. Anybody could hire an attorney.
No, I know,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there were any outside companies that have been there for,
No.
since it was built or whatever.
No, that's not.
All right, I mean, obviously, I'm sitting here in favor of the
Yeah,
program, but, and just wanted to.
So, yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, let's see here.
We're on F.
Yep. I know. So Emily, do you know Emily Gruchowski?
I don't know her, but I've heard
Yeah.
wonderful things,
Yeah,
so.
so, I'm gonna, for Meredith's Way redevelopment, I'm gonna move Emily. Is there a second? So I know Emily from, I've known her for a long time, Architectural Review Board. Emily is an architect. By education, I don't know that she has her license, and I talked to Bruce Carlson a little bit, and he's like, these are the two types of people I think we need, and Emily immediately came to mind. Emily got off ARB a little while ago because she felt like she had done what she could. And and she pops in now and then, and I talk to her, and she's always looking to, if there's anything I can help on, and I thought this was a great opportunity, so I think Emily will be excellent on that. So anyway, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And Paul Tracy, reappointment. Paul's an unaffiliated voter. He's been an excellent member for many years. The pension board, I'm telling you, I talk about it a lot. They do God's work. I mean, they're really just a super educated, wonderful group of people, ask good questions, really concerned about the town pension. Paul's a former banker, brings a lot of knowledge to the table, and we're lucky to have him be considered to be reappointed, in my opinion. So I'll move Paul. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right. Is there anything anybody else wanted to bring up for the good of the board or anything like that?
No, my hope, Carl, is that the town is united on this. I really hope it's united on this. And I know we're all gonna do what we can to try and make the discussions as civil and productive, as possible. And I'd love to see this become a reality. But I don't want to see it dividing the town,
Yeah.
you know, so. I think communication between today and the 31st is really.
Any ideas or would like to assist, I'm happy to. I mean, I know you're busy, Matt, you know, I'm gonna be working through Jennifer.
Okay, yeah,
So if you want to work through Jennifer, you're more than welcome to help. I'd love to
Thank
help.
you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And with what you just said, however, you're going to still have a cadre
Yeah,
of
right.
people that no matter what we say, do, or share, they're going to have an opinion.
Emotional,
Which
they're gonna be
is,
emotional.
I can't believe it. I had a very good conversation with a person with whom we get along great, we have well. But he's so enamored with the Vicky Duffy Pavilion and the loss as opposed to looking at the gain.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have that challenge because there are many people that are going to say that loss is something that is real, because it is, and we made that clear so many times. And then it is my opinion, those people may not consider the benefit, which I think is an important thing to do. And so that's why
We'll try.
we're moving forward and give people an opportunity and they'll have the opportunity. And I do hear what you've said and what Matt said and what Mr. Amaro said, and that is get this information out there. Because then they can, we go through these docs and that whole assignment was a big deal of assigning that lease to somebody else, if it is. But there's something here that says we get to,
write a first refusal.
well, the right of first refusal, and then there was another thing, if he assigned something else in the purchase agreement, it's early on, and it talks about the town has the right to refuse.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, they can't just assign
we
this
get to
agreement to a different developer.
Right.
Right.
So I appreciate both your thoughtfulness and time on this. It's a big issue. I want to just ask you a question in a second, but all right, I'll motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.